Hi there. Hey, I'm wondering, do you have a sneaking suspicion that your body isn't working the way all the diet and health practitioners suggest that it should? Has it become more and more difficult to access health and just really live with a sense of well-being? Maybe you're doing all the things that you've always done that used to always work, or possibly you're even making healthier choices like eating better, moving more, and it just doesn't seem to be producing the results that you expect. Hi friends, Dory Danatel here. In today's video, we are going to tackle the wacky world of hormones and how they impact our health, our well-being, our longevity, and ultimately our satisfaction in life. I promise you will come away with some actionable tidbits to help get you out from under the hormone haze, and I will leave you with some easy changes that you can incorporate so that healthiness is just part of your daily experience, no matter your age, no matter where you are in the hormone hullabaloo, and regardless of the health struggles that you may be dealing with. So by knowing more about how hormones are involved in your health, you can feel better, you can have more energy, and you can just be more alive. And this topic, hormones and health, will actually be important, and it's got a lot of information, so it will be broken out into several videos. So first, I just want to say, when it comes to eating, diets, weight, I hear all the time, Dory, it's just calories in, calories out. That's the ticket to getting healthy and staying healthy. And yet, I also hear from almost every single client that I work with and pretty much all of my harmonized health participants that in the program, that getting healthy and staying healthy is so much more difficult at their age. My clients tend to be in their 50s, their 60s, and some are even in their amazing 70s. So maybe you're wondering about me. I turned 60 this year in 2022. So I'm living with the hormonal change stuff also. So that said, I just want to tell you, I feel better and more healthy. And actually my health markers reveal that this is true. I feel better now than I was back in my late 30s and all of my 40s. Why? Because I'm engaging in so many of the tips that I'm sharing with you in this series of videos. So please stick with me here. All right, so back to this oversimplification of health. Eat better, count your calories, give up sugar, go keto, or do intermittent fasting, or there are any number of prescriptive plans out there, aren't there? And here's the deal. You probably have something or some way of eating that fits your personality and lifestyle and pretty much works for you if you could just do that consistently. If you could do that consistently, you'd see some level of health dividends. The problem is that we often have issues with staying consistent, even when we know what works for us or find the program or plan that seems to work well. So for me, eating based on true hunger and fullness or satisfaction, satiation, that actually works for me, except when it doesn't all of a sudden. And in those times when I'm having a hard time sensing hunger, I really have to choose, what am I going to do at that point? Do then I experiment with a more formalized approach? Do I lean into more of the same? Do I consider just adding something else? The bottom line is, because of hormones, anything that we've done that maybe worked in the past, or whatever we're doing now that seems to have worked or be working, can actually all of a sudden become less effective. Why? The reality is that changes in hormones can actually throw off our entire system. So let me give you an example about hormones and how these may work. When I was in my early 40s, I was training for half marathons. And I know for a fact that my calories that I was taking in were far less than what I was burning. I was literally running massive amount of miles a week in training. And all through that time, there was no noticeable weight loss. And I had weight to lose. It wasn't like I was super ultra thin. So I ended up having to actually abandon the long distance running because I was dealing with fibroid tumors. And what those are, in essence, is hormones gone wild. So I think as women, we just inherently know that it is much more complicated to gain health. We contend with the hormonal impact on our weight, on our sense of well-being, on just our life, far more often with a much broader impact and for a longer period of time than do men. We are familiar as women that during our reproductive years, we are ravenously hungry during parts of the month and then potentially nauseous during other parts of our cycle. So then what's going on when we no longer are in our reproductive years? We're either menopausal, premenopausal, or perimenopausal, or postmenopausal, right? Whatever it is, why are we still struggling to capture health and keep a hold of this? I think I've made the case for hormones. What we're learning is hormones do matter in the health equation. And we as women deal with a lot of hormonal changes over the course of our lives. Long before menopause, our hormones dictate an array of bodily functions, notably our appetite, our sleep patterns, our response to stress, our libido, whether we're feeling happy or anxious, and every single thing in between. This is why it's so important that at any age, we have a basic grasp of how hormones work and how they impact our lives and our health pursuit. So now I want to reinforce that I'm not a doctor. And while I am a certified functional wellness coach, and I have multiple certifications in various fitness modalities, all this is for educational purposes and should be reviewed with your medical professional. But that does not mean that we shouldn't or can't educate ourselves. So first off, let's educate ourselves. What are hormones? Hormones, if you leave with nothing else today, just know that hormones are chemical messengers, and they are designed to basically make sure that our body is functioning at the life level. So that is called homeostasis. And that basically, you think of the disco, staying alive, right? That's what's going on. That's what hormones are for, keep us alive. And multiple bodily systems are communicating and regulating this sort of hormonal party line. You guys remember party lines? If you're my age, you probably do. You pick up the phone and there'd be people on it. Anyways, that's what's going on. All of these things are talking to each other. So I'm going to start talking about what I would call the hormonal big guns. And today's video is going to be just on one of those. The first one to know about is insulin. So now insulin gets kind of a bad rap because we've all heard of some people who actually have to inject themselves with insulin. So it's like, icky, right? But here's the deal. Our lives rely upon insulin in a very big way. So what do we need to know about insulin? I want you to listen up. I'm going to make this super simple. Insulin transfers energy. And where does it get that energy? From the sustenance that you take in. So in essence, it's moving glucose, which is energy. If you could put energy in a bottle, we always talk about that. It's glucose, right? And we eat it a lot, but we're going to talk more about how this works. So from the sustenance that you take in, and that's the food and drink, it basically moves the glucose into your cells so that you can live and exist. Insulin is also, and this is an important piece of what insulin does, it's also the main storage hormone in your body. Once again, it stores glucose. And glucose, just to tell you, is a simple sugar that is found in pretty much all foods in varying amounts. Everything that you take in has some amount of energy. That's what glucose is, okay? So where does it get stored? In your muscle, your liver, your fat cells. And that's stored for later use when you need energy. What's the issue then, right? Why aren't we all energetic? So as we age, this mechanism starts to be less effective. Other things can also make our systems less able to transfer this energy, things like inactivity, a diet that's focused on heavy carbs and processed foods, and sleep issues. And I want you to remember the sleep thing, okay? Because you're going to hear it a lot. So we are already prone to sort of the dulling of this mechanism as we age. This reduced response to insulin, which is trying to move energy into our cells, this is called insulin resistance. And you may hear that term, and what you want to do as you age is figure out how to do the opposite. That means that you would want to learn how to increase your insulin sensitivity. So how do you know if you are becoming insulin resistant? First, you can't actually know for sure by how you feel. It's actually determined by a blood test, but there are some really good indicators. The very first one is the waistline measurement. If your waistline has expanded and any dietary efforts don't seem to make any difference in the waistline, that can tell you that there may be some insulin resistance going on. And I know that we often see our waistlines grow as we age. It is because of the dulling of this mechanism and a few more factors, which we'll talk about in the rest of these videos. So in addition to a waistline measurement, an increase in blood pressure can be an indicator. So it's important for us to always be watching our blood pressure, because no matter what, increases in blood pressure should be managed. Okay, so I know you may have tuned out because you're thinking, oh, this is the same old stuff I always hear, right? I want you to re-engage because I'm about to share some things that are not often talked about that can be an indicator of insulin resistance. There are a variety of skin conditions that may alert you. So skin tags can be a metabolic flag, and they typically occur in the folds of your skin. So that would be your underarms, your neck, your groin, under your breast. And you know what skin tags are, whether they're discolored or not. They're just like a little bump in the skin, okay? So just know that if you're seeing those, that can be a metabolic flag. Also, dark velvety patches in the skin in the same area can be another flag. Unexplained acne or breakouts. And those are the skin conditions you want to be looking at. And then also, finally, other tests may alert you. So tests that are looking for high fasting glucose level, high triglycerides, or that low HDL, which is the good cholesterol. So if you have any of those that pop up on a test, that may be a good indicator. Now, whether you have insulin resistance or you just suspect or worry about it, or you think, I don't want to get it. I get it. Trust me. Here's some ways to improve your insulin response. Because remember, aging in and of itself is a risk factor. Okay. So one, I feel like a broken record when I bring this up, but here we go. Exercise regularly. And I would add to that moderate. So moderate yet regular movement is the key here. If you are inconsistent in moving your body, this is tip number one. Start moving and make it daily. And you can just put on some shoes and go for a walk 20 to 30 minutes. At a minimum, do 5 times a week, please. And if you don't leave with anything but that, that will be a huge win. After the movement thing, the next thing, you might really like this one, is to improve your sleep. Now, sleep has been an underrated health market forever, and it actually is huge. It's usually put in front of what we eat, all right? The food that we're taking in. All right, so let's go over what promotes healthy sleep, because there's a massive amount of books on the market on what to eat, and there really aren't many about sleep now, are there? So we're going to talk about this. So I want you to sort of retune in if you've checked out, okay? So one, go to sleep around the same time and get up around the same time every day. So basically make that a routine, even on the weekends, potentially when you're on vacation too. It's just that your body has sort of we use the term algorithm, but there are other chronorhythms basically is what they are, but do that. So that's a good sleep habit. Don't take naps after 3 p.m. and don't nap longer than 20 minutes. Sorry to all the nappers out there. Eeks. All right. Then stay away from caffeine and alcohol late in the day. Avoid nicotine completely. Now I get it. If you smoke cigarettes or smoke whatever, and there's nicotine in it, that will be something that you want to really work on for sure. Another one for sleep is get regular exercise, but not within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime. Don't eat a heavy meal late in the day. A light snack before bed is okay. Now listen, on this, we are so conditioned to have a big dinner. If there's any way for you to switch that out to how it used to be back in the farming days, where big meal was middle of the day and a smaller meal at night, that is a great way. Make your bedroom comfortable. That means dark, quiet, not too warm, not too cold. I feel like Goldilocks. But really, you have to decide what works for you there. I like a very cold room, but and there are studies that show that is better for sleep. But if that isn't better for you, then make it work for you. Follow a routine to help you relax before bedtime. So that means this is a big, huge issue. We've got all these blue light devices. We have to turn those off at least an hour before. And that could also look like turning them off and adding maybe some reading or listening to some sort of soft music, that kind of thing. For me, we have a jacuzzi. We're one of the few people I know, I think, that actually use the jacuzzi almost every single night. That's part of our bedtime routine as we go out and relax there. Whatever that is for you, find out what that is to relax yourself. Here's some really good tips about when you're in bed. Don't lie in bed awake. Okay. If you can't fall asleep after 20 minutes, do go back to something calming until you can feel like you're sleepy. That could be, again, reading, listening to soft music. I like to also switch areas. So if I need to go to another spot in the, in the house where I can lay on the couch or something, that helps me. All right. So those are all the sleeping tips. So we've talked about exercise, we've talked about sleep habits and getting good sleep. So beyond that, we're going to talk about the thing that you always hear about, but it's very specific. And this is dietary stuff. So when it comes to what we're ingesting or taking in, get more omega-3 fatty acids. And I'm sure you've heard this. I'm going to remind you what these are. Fish. If you don't like fish, do nuts. You can do seeds. So we're talking sunflower seeds. FYI, coffee is a seed. You're welcome. I wouldn't just rely upon coffee. Plant oils, all right, so that's olive oils, all those really great oils, avocado oils. And in the end, you could try a high quality supplement, all right? I'm not a fan of supplements. I'd prefer to try to get what we need with our food, but on occasion, supplements are helpful. So lots of research has been done that shows that ensuring that you have an ample amount of omega-3s in your system actually does matter when it comes to both inflammation and insulin resistance. So along with that omega-3s, we're going to consider some other parts of the diet. If you can add veggies in, great. We talked about omega-3 foods already. Reducing your saturated and trans fats have been shown to help. And so what that looks like is reducing your intake of processed foods, which means anything that comes in a box. And then if you are a meat eater, then just knowing that red meats tend to have a higher percentage of saturated fat. And the way you can combat that is get grass-fed meat, all right? So look for grass-fed meat. All of these things are readily available on the market at this point. All right, and finally, maintain a moderate weight. I get it, it's catch-22. These things all seem to connect to each other. The main thing here is that we can approach maintaining healthy weight for health reasons instead of falling prey to sort of diet culture and all the mental gymnastics and distress that we go through as a result of trying to sort of meet societal expectations, right? So we want to do this as a gift to ourselves for our own longevity, for feeling good day in and day out. Listen, if you are not feeling better than you were 10 years ago, I'm here to just be the voice that tells you it is possible. I'm living proof. Aging does not require you to consistently feel worse. I feel massive amounts better than I did 10 years ago, okay? And I'll repeat, hormones matter in this health equation. I'd go so far as to say that hormones are the denominator, and what we do on a day-to-day basis in the interest of our health actually is the numerator. This is for the math people, yeah. Regardless, what we do daily for our health will impact our hormones. Anyway, there are so many more hormones that determine how we feel, our energy levels, our outlook on life that I want you to know about. In the big gun section that I'll walk through in detail in my next video, along with a lesser known hormone, all three of these are actually called the appetite hormones, all right? You do not want to miss the next video, so make sure to subscribe below and actually click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you actually get alerted when these coming videos are available. Until then, let's highlight what you want to do to start managing your health via managing your hormones. In this case, we're talking insulin. So you want to move daily or very regularly. You want to sleep well, and you want to approach your diet to get omega-3 fats over saturated fats. How to do this? You would switch out cheese and other types of high-fat snacks for nuts or seeds. You want to switch out dairy for maybe nut milks, and then grass-fed meats, use those, or fish, and then real food, including fruits and veggies. All right. Hopefully that's a good, quick overview. And alrighty, we'll talk about more on the next one.